Okay guys, we're going to do something a little bit different today. I have seen two 1 hour long videos by another YouTuber that is advertised as creating an OD&D campaign with Chainmail. And then both of those videos has absolutely no use of the little brown books that I could see by just scrolling forward through them, ditto with Chainmail. So here's a printout of Chainmail 3rd edition. I'm going to use this to create an entire campaign right here on the fly using my limited experience with D&D. And then I've got some tracing paper and the Wilderness Survival Guide from Ancient Days. So I might actually like trace out and try and lay out this campaign land. I'm not going to try. I'm actually going to succeed at doing that. What I have done is gone through Chainmail and create a bunch of little pencil marks here for myself about what I would like to do in case there is something random that comes up. And I already have kind of an approach. It's not like this is the first campaign I've ever set up before, but I've got an approach that I'm going to try. And where I need to, I'll roll some dice. I have created a way to use polyhedrals and, use playing cards in lieu of polyhedrals. So hopefully I didn't dox myself by showing you some of the outer works of the house here. I'm also going to be using this medieval card deck, which is by Igor Klyuchink from Anomaly World, Elephant Playing Cards. I left the seal intact. I do love the feel of them. When I first started wargaming up with mini wargaming, I didn't like so much the use of playing cards, but I've kind of embraced this. So I'm going to just shuffle the cards up, and the first thing we're going to do is establish for my campaign the climate. And of course I've got some notes, a notepad here from one of the vendors that I've dealt with before. We're just going to say climate, and we're going to turn to a page in Chainmail that deals with weather, if I can find it. Here we go. So we're going to roll 2d6. We'll start with dice, just because I'm more comfortable with dice. First dice, second dice. So first dice is 2. So the way you do this is you come across. So in this case, it's going to be clear. And then we go down to number 5, no change. So climate right now is just going to be clear, nothing exciting to note there. We might come back to that table. I have no idea. Okay, so what I propose is that that we are dealing with a 6 barony kind of area. And I'm going to just use this hex as hex number 1. And the first thing I want to know about this barony in hex number 1 is, are we dealing with law or chaos? Law or chaos? And if I come back here to this table in the back, which has to do with the general lineup, this is on page 39 of Chainmail. So 1 to 2, it's law. 3 to 4, it's neutral. 5 to 6 is chaos. So we're dealing with neutral people in this hex square. So now what I propose doing is establishing how many factions might be at play in this square. Oh yeah, before we do that, let's select the terrain for this square. So Chainmail itself has a little terrain picking capability. There's one table here that goes through D6, or I could also use, and I think I'll do this for the first part, predominant terrain, right? There are terrain pieces that you can select. This goes from 1 to 20, so let's just turn over a card and see what we get for predominant terrain. Predominant terrain is going to be a pond, so a lake. We're going to call this a lake as the predominant. So by that I mean it's going to take about 50% of the land space in that, I'm going to call this a 6 mile by 6 mile hex, so roughly 32 square mile area. It's going to be a pretty large inland lake. Well, who knows, I might keep, anyway, let's get that card out of the way. So what about the other 2 to 3 terrain features that predominate here. Let's first see, let's do like a D3 kind of thing. Yes, 3 other pieces of terrain. So like 50% of it's going to be this. Then we're going to have a gully, which, what would that be? That would be like a major, that'd be like a major valley. Let's call that a valley. Valley's going to be 33% of 50%. So what, like 16? Yeah, 16% is going to be valley. Queen, so 10. Actually, it goes 10, then Jack, Queen. Queen would be number 12, which is going to be some hills, which makes sense with the valley. So 16% hills, and then King, and that's going to be blank. So those are going to be plains. So already we've got, using just chainmail and some playing cards and some dice in our brains, we already kind of have a feel for what's going to be in that hex as far as topographic features. We've got a feel for the climate that's going to be predominant in that hex, and we know that neutrality is kind of what's afoot amongst the people of that hex. Now, in BECME, there is this concept of borderlands, wilderness, and civilization. So I'm going to give those even chances. So we're going to see borderlands 1 to 2, wilderness, actually it should be wilderness 1 to 2, borderlands 3 to 4, and 5 to 6 civilized. So we're going to have neutral, we're going to have kind of a civilized square. So we're going to say there's 1 predominant town, and then there's going to be up to 3 smaller towns in there. So I'm going to say 3, let's see, 2 villages. So 1 town and 2 villages. And then because it is civilized, I'm going to say there are 3 factions here. So we're going to figure out what the factions are. So one of them is going to be neutral. One of them is going to be chaos. And one of them is going to be law. Okay, that makes it easy. Neutral is the top dog. That's why I selected it. So the neutral faction, there's going to be a law faction, and there's going to be a chaos faction. Now, because I'm going to consider the predominant faction to be humanocentric, to use the words of Gary Gygax from OD&D First Edition, I want to know something more about the leader that's in that space. So I've already kind of selected, I want to know more about the leader and or the culture. So I'm either going to roll on this table over here, which is movement, or I'm going to turn here to 14 to 16 and kind of fill in the details. So if I use this table, it goes up to 16. Let's see what we get here. So 3, that keeps it very simple. So some kind of lands connect. The neutral lands connect are in charge of this. And those of you that have played Chainmail kind of know that that implies those guys are kind of badasses, to use, pardon my French, bad language. Now, what about the lawful faction? What kind of selection are we going to get here? It's going to be 6, which is going to be some kind of arquebusiers. We're going to be running that faction. And let's see if it's human or something else. I think we'll turn back now to the table in the back for this second faction. So the neutrals are human. The other faction here is going to be, what did I say? The lawful faction has arquebuses. Goes up to 8, really. I don't know why magic weapons is number 8, but it is. I guess maybe a magical sword, to use OD&D, could be in charge of the faction. Wouldn't that be odd? Or some other magical weapon. Okay, 1 through 8. Oh, look, I drew a 7. Ints. Ints are lawful. Ints armed with arquebuses? That doesn't make sense. So there's got to be some other force at play in the wood line there. So who else could it potentially be? I think, again, we're going to say like 50-50 chance. 1 to 3, it's humans. 4 to 6, it's some kind of monster. Humans. So humans armed with arquebuses. Well, we'll come back to that. Let's pick the chaotic faction now. Again, humans 1 to 3, 4 to 6 monster of some kind of monster maybe. And for this one, I think we're really going to go to the monster table. So let's just pick the monsters. Monsters go from, there are like 43 different monsters. Don't know if you knew that, if you number these out in Chainmail. So let's pick a card here. The card is the 8 of diamonds. Using my table, the 8 of diamonds corresponds with random result number 8, coincidentally, out of this entire table. How boring. Number 8. So the chaotic faction is going to be elves or fairies if they were chaotic, but I don't think they're chaotic. I don't think I can do that. Elves and fairies. Elves can be neutral. Fairies can be neutral. They do not appear on the chaotic table. So let's draw again. 9 of diamonds, boring. 9 of diamonds, boring, but it's not going to be orcs, is it? Yeah, fairies was 9. Fairies was 9. Okay, so that's not a good result. Let's try again. 5. God, did I shuffle these cards at all? Apparently not. 5. Gnomes. Can gnomes be chaotic? No, they cannot be chaotic. All right, fine. I'll use this table since I'm having no luck. 1 through 14. Queen. So 10, Jack, Queen. Giants. Giants. So we've got some chaotic giants. We've got some ints. We got some chaotic giants. We've got some arquebusiers. We got some lands connect. Let's figure out the leader of the factions. Male or female? Male 1 to 3, female 4 to 6. So female, male, female. So female human, male int, if there is such a thing, female giant. We got some valleys, we got some hills, possibly hill giants if we were using the OD&D distinction. So chaotic hill giants. We've got a major lake. So that can't be the ints. So the ints have to be up in the, they have to be in the plains or in the valley. 50-50. Plains or valley. Plains first. So plains. These guys are in the ints, are in the plains. So there must be some forested area in there. Maybe a dying out forest. Maybe that's why they're a faction. They're kind of on the outs. They're slowly dwindling away. And then as far as like the main faction, let's find out a little bit about their fortification. There's, of course, in here the ability to have siege warfare, and that implies that we could also tell a little bit about the fortifications if we come over here. Oh yeah, that's what I forgot to do. I forgot to roll. Well, we can do that for another hex. We'll do one more hex, guys, and then we'll see how I'm feeling about it. So, fortifications. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things that really matter here. Let's draw a card. That's 10. That doesn't apply. Ace, that's number 1. So bastions and round towers. So we're going to say that that's kind of your typical, it's kind of your typical fortress with bastions and round towers. The ints, I don't think so. Let's make a roll here for the hill giants. Hill giants have gatehouses, square towers, and gates. Maybe they have a gatehouse up there. It makes more sense that they would have some kind of square tower up there as their main like fortification. Maybe like an old-fashioned watchtower, wooden watchtower. Maybe something like a Mott and Bailey kind of setup. Anyway, so that's kind of roughing in hex number 1. Let's see about hex number 2. And that hex is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to start with north. So this is the hex immediately north. So hex number 2. So that's number 1. That's number 2. Hex 2. The 1, it's going to be clear, probably clear. Yeah, nothing special about the climate up there. What faction is predominating? What alignment? 6, Chaos, is the faction that's mainly in control. So is this considered a Borderlands hex? It's up against the human civilization. That's kind of interesting. So what was it? Wilderness, Borderlands, and Civilized. Civilized chaotic society. So there's going to be some kind of main town or village, and then 1 to 3 smaller ones. So there's going to be like a village or hamlet or something like that, and then some kind of town. And again, I'm going to try my luck here, rolling on the monster table first. Rolling the monster table for the predominant faction. So 1 to 43. Let's shuffle these up some more. Roll again. 3 sprites and pixies. Nope. 2. What the? I apparently have not shuffled this nearly well enough. I'm about to give up on the cards as much as I love them. 6. Oh, I have not. You know what? I've been shorting myself here. Let's go back. 2. That was a 4. It's a 3. That was a 3 of hearts. 3 of hearts is actually 16 on my table. It's the 16th card in the deck. My table goes diamonds, hearts, clubs, and spades. I am so sorry, folks. So the 3 of hearts corresponds to number 16. Let's see if this is chaos. Number 16 is... 18 is lycanthropes. 16 is wraiths. Ah, so there are wraiths in control of this civilized hex. Not Nazgul, wraiths. That kind of implies maybe there's evil high priests in the land. Don't know, just thinking out loud. There's probably an evil high priest that keeps the human part of the civilization going. Let's check, male or female. It's going to be a female. So let's call it a female evil high priest, and then what about the wraith that she interfaces with? That once more is a female. So we got kind of a matriarchy thing going on here. Oh yeah, I wanted to check age. So like 1 is young, 2 is middle-aged, and 3 is old. So this evil high priestess, she's old. And is she like venerable? I'm going to say that if I get another extreme result of 5 or a 6, she's not just old, but she's like venerable. Yeah, she's perhaps even ancient. So maybe some bad magic going on there. We wanted to come up with, since it's civilized, we're going to give 2 other factions. One of them is going to be lawful, right? Maybe an underground lawful faction. And then a neutral faction. We're going to try on the monster table again. So we just did 3 of hearts. 2 of hearts, which is going to be 15. 15 is a wizard. 15 is a wizard. So a wizard in charge of the lawful faction. But is he a true wizard? Or is he perhaps a sorcerer, warlock, magician, or seer? It's 1 through 5 here. So let's draw here. Number 6 doesn't apply. Number 10 doesn't apply. Number 4 does apply. He is a magician. A magician. This dude is, I keep saying dude. It turns out it's another female. All right. We'll just keep that going. Young, middle-aged, or old. Old as well. Maybe he's been squaring off with this evil high priestess for a long time. Not as long, so he's kind of just kind of regular old. And then the neutral faction. Neutral faction is going to be a 9 of hearts. That's going to be 22. So that faction is 22. Come on. Come on now. 23, 22. Oh. 22. Balrog. That can't be neutral. That is an inappropriate result. But we're going to keep the Balrog on the map because that is very interesting. So somewhere on the map we got a Balrog. 9 of clubs. 9 of clubs is 35. 35. 35, a chimera type. Can chimeras be neutral? Not, yes, chimeras can be neutral. So we've got a chimera kind of as that faction. And I'm going to put a Balrog in that square. Oh yeah, we need terrain. Predominant terrain for this square. Let's roll again. Predominant terrain. 3 and a 6 is 9. So 9 minus 1. I wanted to do a minus 1 on this. So 9 minus 1 is 8. So we've got some kind of difficult ground. 11. So 11 is going to be some hills. Hills are going to be 16%. Well, actually, hills are 16%. We're going to roll 2 more times here on this table. 10, which is hills again. Are these mountains? True or false? I think it's 50-50. So even is true, odd is false. Even, true. So those are actually going to be mountains. If you look at the outdoor survival origins of OD&D, you'll find that OD&D doesn't have mountains in their wilderness tables. The assumption is that some of them probably should be mountains. Okay, and one last piece of terrain here, one last piece of terrain for hex number 2. I got to re-roll that. That was crap. 5. So gully, again, we're going to call that a valley, which makes sense. So we've got difficult ground, we've got hills, mountains, and valley, all somewhere in hex number 2. Now, there are a couple different ways that you can fill in this stuff. I could just roll d6 for each of these terrain features, right? I could say difficult ground, right? Because it's 50-50. We're going to say difficult ground, hills are 4, mountains are 5, valley is 6. And we could do, like, again, starting from the north, go around this quadrant thing and say, okay, number 5, we're getting mountains. So we're going to put in mountains here. Then we roll and we get another 5, so we get some more mountains. Then we roll and we get a 4, so we get some hills over here. We get 5, we get some more mountains. Oh, that might explain why we've got chaos right next to, look at this, we got mountains. I'm going to just say the rest of this, I don't know why I kept rolling mountains. Well, the rest of this, we're going to take back that roll. We're going to call this difficult ground, difficult ground, difficult ground. That gives me about 50% difficult ground, hills and mountains, and we'll just assume the valleys are interspersed within here, right? So we've got some valleys in here. Let's go back to hex number 1. We've probably forgotten about, but it was, lake was going to be half of it. So 1 to 3 is going to be lake. Then we had valley, hills, and plains. So we're going to start at the north here. We're going to go 2. So this is part of the lake is up here near the border. Then we've got some hills, which makes sense. So we're going to call this lake. Then we've got some more hills down here. Come on now. More lake. So we're going to put that adjacent square. We're going to call that lake. This is going to be lake. Six. Plains. So this is the plains right here in the middle where the Ints live. That leaves me 3 more hexes to kind of fill in here. 3. 3 is going to be lake. We've only got 2 more, and we've got hills on the map. We've got, yeah, we'll assume the valleys could just fill in. Just lost my dice. It was a 3. It was a 3, I swear, but we're going to go with 4, which is valley. So big valley here. And then a 1, finishing it up here with, we're going to call this just a pond. Okay, so you kind of get the feeling for how we can populate that. We could do the same thing with the civilization, like randomize, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We could say, you know, number 7, looking for something between 1 and 7. Number 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We could say this is the location of the main faction, and then the other 2 are, you know, not. It would help if I had shuffled these cards. None of this stuff appears to be shuffled. 7. So again, we could just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is going to be the middle. So there's going to be one of the villages there, and then 4. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4. We already did that. Let's go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's our little area where civilization abounds. They're connected by some kind of road network. You've got a lake, so this must be on the border of a lake. This lake comes up here and it butts up next to the mountains, probably intrudes into that square. So again, factions, personalities, fortifications, you know, we already said this is going to be a fortress down here. Any of that kind of stuff you can easily do with chainmail. Let's do one more thing. I want to use these historic troop types just once. So we're going to move on to one of these other squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I would have thrown out a 6 if I would have got it. So let's do this hex next. And this time, instead of doing the chaos thing, we're going to do, you know, what kind of historic setting does this area have? And if I look at the historic stuff, I've numbered it 1 through, looks like 1 through 19. So I'll just roll a d20 and throw out a 20 if I get it. What did it roll? What did it roll? Of course, a 2. How boring. How boring. Number 2, some kind of levies, some kind of local citizenry, watch, or militia. So 1, 2, 3. So citizenry, watch, or militia. Some kind of militia is in here as a faction. Let's figure out what their leader is like. Well, let's figure out what kind of alignment, right? Kind of alignment. We got law, so some kind of lawful faction. Let's go back to the. I'm going to go back. I'm going to try my luck one more time with the stupid monsters. 1 through 43, and we get a 5 of clubs, which is, looks like that's going to be a 31 on the table. Does that work to be lawful? 31. A genie. The genie is in charge of this thing, and he's got a militia to work with. So, all right, that's enough of this nonsense. You can see how chainmail can be used to give you continental weather, predominant weather pattern. It can give you terrain. You can randomize the terrain. You can get factions out of this using law, neutrality, and chaos. You can assign leaders to the factions. You can pick their sex, you know, or lack of sex if you're talking about an int. You can figure out where civilizations are. You can figure out whether it's borderland, wilderness, or civilized. You can kind of rough in the map and then start thinking about what's going to be where. And in a very short amount of time, you have enough to run session 1. Probably much less than all my chattering away has made it seem like. You can probably get session 1 underway with maybe 10 to 15 minutes worth of work to figure out kind of what's going on in the hexes nearby. Okay, just a brief addendum. I completely forgot about the other part of this. So you know how almost all modern GM systems use some kind of oracle system. So let's say we wanted to find out about this evil high priestess and this this magician. And where did my pencil go? Doesn't matter. Get another pencil. So let's say we have this evil high priestess, and we've got this magician that are in opposing factions. And I want to know 2 words that describe her, and 2 notes. I think this was a female as well. And 2 notes that describe her personality. And then additionally, I want 2 words to describe motivation, right? 2 words for motivation. So I don't need to use a system like Iron Sworn, although I certainly got that on the shelf back there. Here's what I did. Pages 1 through page 44. Easy peasy. So we're going to go with the card deck. Who knows how well this is going to work. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. So 1, 2. So this is her personality, her motivation, personality, motivation. And then what I'm going to do is flip these over and start working through them. Let's work through this one first. So 6 and a 5 of clubs, looking at my little chart, that's going to be pages 31 and 32. I really should have shuffled these better. All right, so pages 31 and 32. So I need a word on page 31. I'm just going to say where the dice, you could do like where the dice drops. So somewhere in here, this paragraph's about darkness. So I think that's pretty good. Description of the evil high priestess, dark. Probably her heart is darkened. Page 32. Let's see where this dice drops. It's going to be more toward the top of the page. Oh, come on now. Well, I can't seem to land on the page. Now I can, yeah. Land on the word wizard must. So interesting, dark wizard. So something about her personality has to do with dark wizardry. Maybe she was cursed by the former, like this guy's master or something. Who knows? Let's figure out her motivation now. So these cards are done. Where's my second set of cards? 7 and 8. Wow. Okay, not shuffled at all, really. So pages 33 and 34. 33 is right here, conveniently. I swear to God, I was shuffling them. You saw me shuffling this deck. I was shuffling it even more. All right, somewhere. Oh, so this is in, again, this is in the magician column, and it was more toward D, a spell delayed. So one of her motivations is delaying some kind of spell. So maybe the curse she's under, it's consuming her, and she needs to be taken away from it. Now there's something on this page. So, come on, dice, where are you landing at? Lycanthropes. So, lycanthropy. Ah, yeah, okay. So, she wants, perhaps she's afflicted because of some wizard has worked some kind of magic that's given her lycanthropy. Let's see what kind. Is she a werebear, werewolf, or just a regular shapeshifter? 1, 2, 3. She's a werebear. That can't be. She's evil, so that can't be right. Gonna have to go with werewolf on this one, or shapeshifter. Sorry, and I'm gonna go with werewolf, right? Okay, so now we know a little bit more about her. That's quite an interesting backstory. Now let's figure out the magician that opposes her. So 10 and 3 as far as like description. So 10 of diamonds. 10 of diamonds is actually page 10, and 3 of diamonds is actually page 3. So this is going to be easy. So the first word is on page 10. Boom. So somewhere over here, it's going to be 1 with rough ground. So rough is kind of a descriptive word. Rough or grounded. Maybe both. Maybe rough and grounded. Maybe this kind of a hedge wizard, kind of man of the people person. And then page 3, table of contents. Pretty boring, but where's the dice at? 25. Let's come over. Combat. Combative. So, maybe he feels that it's his duty to go take care of this ancient evil high priestess that's leading things up here. Okay, which kind of ties into motivation. I shouldn't really be. Let's get 2 more words, and then we'll call this a wrap after this. So I get the Ace of Spades, which corresponds to page 40, and the Jack of Diamonds, which is page 11. So let's pick up the word from page 11 first, even though it's second. So somewhere on this page, land the dice. So one turn of non-movement fully restores fatigued troops. Oh, there's lots of good words here. So turn fully restores fatigues troops. So fully restores. So fully restore. That's part of his motivation. And then page 40, I think we said, right? Ace of Spades, page 40. Oh, it's a table. It's the combat table. What interesting motivational stuff can we get off the combat table? Table. Huh. Fully restore the table. Maybe fully reset the table. Reset things the way they were before his master cursed her with lycanthropy, maybe. Okay, that's it. Hope you had fun watching me actually use Chainmail as a campaign creation tool.